Hello, everyone. We'll be getting started in about 4 minutes, but for your information, there's some free popcorn there. So enjoy. Yeah, there's one, two, and then they have another one. We're going to be starting soon. You want to take a picture? Getting going, so if the candidates could make their way to the stage, please. All right. So hello and welcome, good afternoon to El Paso Community College Valle Verde campus. And this is another night of a candidates forum. Tonight we have the two candidates for District 5 of the EPCC Board of Trustees. And so we will begin with introductions of the candidates. And so today here we have Dr. Carmen Olivas Graham, the incumbent, and we have Linda Gonzalez Hensgen. All right, the format for tonight, we will start off with opening remarks that are to last 3 minutes, and from there we will work our way through the questions. If either of you feel that you should have a rebuttal, you will have 1 minute as a response time. And towards the end, before we end tonight, we will have some time for some question and answer sessions from you all, the audience. So let us begin. And let us begin with opening remarks with Dr. Olivas Graham. You may begin.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Again, my name's Carmen Olivas Graham, and I've been on the El Paso Community College Board of Trustees for the past almost 13 years. And I have an experience not only on the Community College Board, but as an educator. I'm a certified teacher and administrator in the state of Texas. I'm an immigrant from Mexico, came here legally in a family of 7, and worked as a maid for a few years until I obtained my education. I came to EPCC. I graduated from a technical high school that was later not a high school because they closed it down, an EPISD. I attended UTEP and obtained my teaching degree there. On a scholarship, I went to Stephen F. Austin and obtained my master's degree there on a scholarship as well. And then I received a scholarship from New Mexico State University, where I obtained my PhD. And that is in curriculum and instruction with a minor in bilingual education and another minor in early childhood. I have worked as an educator. I've worked in the past, when I was younger, for the probation department, the first offender program, and I also worked for Thomas & Hospital. With the Socorro School District, I think I've been there like 30 years, and I have also 6 years in the rural community of Fabens, Texas. I'm very excited to be here and look forward to your questions.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank SGA for having us, and I want to congratulate you on your great state conference that you had. Being elected president for Region 1 is awesome, so congratulations, and thank you again for having us here. I'm Linda Gonzalez Hensgen, and so I'm a first-generation college student who worked her way up from a student worker to a vice president of student services. I worked at UTEP for 30 years, and then I came here and worked for 13 years. I came here as director of financial aid and left as vice president for student services. All of my career, I've basically worked at helping families find ways to pay for college. It's all been about, my goal is for student success, finding ways to reach out and letting people know that there is opportunities for them out there. And so I pride myself in the partnerships that we formed while we were both at UTEP and here. I'm very high on continuous improvement, on looking at how we do things and trying to make things better for our students. And so I value that experience that I bring, and I think understanding budgets. I mean, I've been in charge of small budgets, departmental budgets, divisional budgets. I understand how hard it is to try and balance tuition costs and trying to provide the best services and making sure that our students have access to the best technology, to the best facilities. And so I think having that institutional knowledge would be a big asset that I could provide to the college. I also have experience being involved in advocacy, and so I think that as a board member, I could provide some help and support in talking to our state and our federal legislatures and explaining to them how some of their decisions impact our students and our community. So I have been involved in the community. This is my first time running for office, but I currently serve on the Board of Family Service of El Paso. I'm on the Evolve Credit Union. I'm a CASA volunteer. In the past, I've been PTAs. I've been a volunteer at the Reynolds Home. I'm very involved at my church. So I've been involved with my community always. And so this is just the next step, another way to work and to do more. I just want to use my expertise and my experiences to benefit the college.
Thank you. Thank you for those introductions. All right, and I do not believe I introduced myself. I'm Aldo Lopez. I'm a government lecturer here at Valle Verde campus. All right, let's get to the questions. First question, and I'll direct it to you, Ms. Gonzalez. And the question would be, is there any particular program or initiative that is your #1 priority on receiving district funding, and why?
I don't know if it's a program, but it's an area. I think that we need to look at increasing our support for our technology and career programs. I think that one of our biggest challenges is trying to get our students to help meet that market out there and the jobs out there. And so a lot of times we haven't done a good job of emphasizing the importance of an associate's degree. And so I think that promoting our technical programs is one that I think that I would. And the other would be technology. It's not a program, but it's really needed for all programs. We got to make sure that our students have access to the latest and the best technology if they're going to go on to the next level. And then safety. We have to make sure to fund safety at the level that it needs to be funded.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Lewis-Graham, same question.
Okay, would you repeat it for me, please?
Yes. Is there any particular program or initiative that is your #1 priority on receiving district funding, and why?
One of my priorities is to continue accelerating the creation of our college-going culture in El Paso. I think that we do have a department that addresses recruitment, but in my view, we need to enlarge that area. We need to be more aggressive in our recruitment, and we certainly need to all become recruiters for the college. Whether you're staff or your instructors or your volunteers or board members, everywhere the financial issues will be a lot less cumbersome if we have more students in the college, and it will also benefit the community as a whole. Right now, we have too many students that are still not attending college. Almost half of them are not, so we need to bring in more of those students because in the long run, it's going to be better for our community. One of the things that we have to be true to is our mission, which is to provide an education that is affordable and that is quality, and that we can continue recruiting students and bringing them so that we can have more tuition money so that we can do more with the programs that we have.
Thank you. The following question, and we can begin with Dr. Olivas-Graham. What are 2 challenges the El Paso County Community College District should address, and why? 2 challenges.
So one of the biggest ones that we have had is the facilities, and the college has appropriated $255 million by the Board of Trustees to enhance and improve the facilities, because many of the programs that we are looking to bring to the college we can't get them in here because we don't have the facilities. And some of our facilities are old and need to be upgraded. So that in itself has been a huge challenge that we are meeting thanks to the master plan that we as a board requested and was approved. So that is in the works right now. There is another piece of a challenge coming up, and that is the possibility of a campus on Fort Bliss. Fort Bliss is providing the land, but I don't know that the board will move forward with the building of the new campus. Certainly, the proximity of Bowman Hospital is there, and it would be great for us to be able to do that. But again, that remains to be seen as a vote by the board. So that the facilities, to me, has been at the forefront of what we need to do in order to be able to bring in more programs that we need at the college.
Thank you. And same question.
Okay. The two, one of them, Dr. Graham actually touched on, is enrollment. Enrollment is one of the bigger challenges that we have. Obviously, we need enrollment because we need tuition. And so we know we have outreach efforts, but I think right now what we need is a lot of our students that if we go and set up a table and you know that you want to go to college, you're going to go to that table. But how many people are sitting back in the classroom opting out because they don't think that they are college material? We've got to find ways to seek them out and to go to them and say, well, you may not, and again, I am just guilty as everyone else. We did a great job of saying, the best place to start, insinuating they'd start here and transfer on to a 4-year. But I think now we need to say it's the best place to start and finish. With my son, there was no question. He was going to, his trail was high school and associates, bachelor's, and master's. If he wants to go beyond that, good, but the associates is something. And we need to keep those dual credit students here because right now we offer them the benefit of free tuition. We need to find ways to get them to come here after they graduate from high school and to get that associates. So in line with that, we need to find ways to get our community to understand the importance of an associate's, the importance of a certificate. There's a lot of jobs, there's a lot of occupations out there that students don't need a bachelor's. And so I'm on a board of Evolve with a vice president for the water company. She's telling me that they can't find enough electricians or plumbers. She says electrical engineers are graduating from UTEP, but we're not getting plumbers and electricians. In a few years, I'm going to be paying the plumber and electrician more than the electrical engineer, because there's a lot more of them than there are of these. And so we need to communicate to the community. Before it was, I want to say that people look down at, well, all you have is an associate's. No, we need to show people that an associate's and a certificate is just as valuable these days.
Thank you. Following question, and that would be for Ms. Gonzalez-Henskin to begin with. All right, and bear with me, it's a little bit longer. For several years, the Student Government Association has pushed for El Paso Community College to become a smoke-free and tobacco-free institution. However, EPCC has not gone smoke-free, unlike several other colleges in the nation, due to, among others, the Faculty Association at EPCC not agreeing with the initiative. Do you support the prospect of EPCC going smoke-free and tobacco-free? Yes or no, and why?
Yes. I actually worked with Ms. Jones when I was here trying to get that policy reviewed and renewed and updated, and the most that we could get was people would have a designated place on each campus. But I knew that really what the goal was for us to be smoke-free. And I agree with it. I agreed with it then, and part of it is personal. My husband is here. His mother was diagnosed with a cancer that doctors told us was attributed to secondhand smoke. And so that was very impactful. What was more impactful was my father-in-law loved her to death. And he was devastated when he found that out, but he didn't stop smoking. And so when he got ill, they had to pump his lungs. And when you're at the hospital and you see what comes out of the lungs of somebody that has smoked, I didn't realize how black it would be. And so I forced him to stop smoking. We basically painted his house. When he came back, there was no signs of cigarettes anywhere. And I really feel that we extended his life at least a couple of years because we did that. So yes, I fully support. And I know that UTEP is non-smoking, Austin Community College, most institutions are non-smoking.
Thank you, and same question.
Yes, my position is that I support a smoke-free environment. We have gone through this in the public schools many years ago. We faced the challenge of teachers that were smoking and had to go somewhere else or step away from the school building, and now it's not even a question. It's a smoke-free environment in our schools, in the public schools, and that's exactly what I would want for the college. I have no issue with that. I mean, it's a health issue. Like Linda says, it is important for us, but not only that, we are the models for the younger generation, and we definitely have to keep their health and what we are teaching them through our modeling at the forefront. So definitely I would be in support of that.
Thank you. Next question, we will begin with Dr. Lewis-Graham. Property taxes are one of the three main sources of revenue for community colleges, EPCC among them. And currently, the state legislature is discussing property tax reform. If, however, the legislature does pass property tax reform, will you support raising tuition or cutting back on services and programs, and why?
Well, some of the decisions that we make cannot wait on the legislators because, as you know, they talk a good talk and then they fail to deliver what we need. The funding for community colleges has been cut year after year from 72%. We're down to, I think, 21% now. So much of the weight of it has been placed on the shoulders of taxpayers. So would I support a tuition increase? This board has agreed to hold the tuition increase and freeze them for 2 years so that we can help people plan for what they have to pay for the 2 years that might take them to get their associates. Having said that, we also have done other initiatives. We have looked at the programs to see which programs are not leading to employment so that we can cut back on those programs and increase the ones that are leading to employment. So it's not easy to just say, I will never raise taxes, because I can't say that, I can't make that promise, but certainly we will be very fiscally conservative as we have been. We're building over 400,000 square feet of facility improvements, and we did it all within existing budgets because that's what the board's direction was, that we're not going to burden the taxpayers, we're gonna do it with existing funds. And so again, the increase of tuition or the increase in taxes remains to be seen. We will do everything we can to not do either one, but if it is necessary, then we have to look and see what the best option is so that we don't hurt the students that are, with low income, and we don't hurt the taxpayers because we are all overburdened with taxes at this time.
Thank you. And same question.
So budget concerns have always been an issue, unfortunately, and like Dr. Graham said, as the state gives us less, we've got to figure out what to do. And so my preference is to, before we make any of those decisions, is that what we really need to do is to promote and support our staff in finding ways to do things more cost effective. And I'll give you an example. When I first got here, we were spending thousands of dollars on postage and printing because we wanted to communicate with our students and we wanted to make sure they knew what was needed of them and all, but that was thousands of dollars. And so our budget was used up mostly for that, and to hire staff, there was no way, and so what we came up with was we decided to use technology, and I believe in using technology not to reduce how many people you have on staff, but how to use them better. And so with using technology, what we started to do is we communicated with our students the first time by letter, the old snail mail, but in that letter it told them, from this point forward, we will be communicating with you through email. This is a portal that you use to check on the status of your application, to tell you what age you've been getting. And so by doing that, again, we saved thousands of dollars, not only in paper, but postage, and as postage keeps going up, I mean, that was huge. The other thing is that our department was the first department to use imaging. And again, instead of making copies of all the documents that are submitted, you image them, you put them in the system. Space-wise, we have extra space. We got rid of a huge room full of cabinets full of paper. We found places for staff. So I think that it might cost us a little bit, because sometimes you need to invest to make some money. So if we can talk to staff and say what is out there, and they're the ones that know, there's some of you here, you're the ones that know what technology, what is the best way to do things and what you see other people doing. I think that if we can look at ways to be more cost effective, that we can balance and maybe not have to do either one.
Thank you. And the following question, we'll start with you, ma'am. Next question. If elected, how will you promote an effective partnership amongst the Board of Trustees, the Faculty Association, and the Student Government Association that will strengthen shared governance and work towards the institution's mission?
Good question. Right now we have really good, strong constituency groups. I mean, SGA, classified staff, professional staff, but everyone, first of all, they come and present to the board mostly once a month. And so whereas information is good to share and stuff, but is that really working together? And so I would like, and I've seen it at some other institutions, where you I don't know if you want to call it an assembly, a college assembly, where you bring together all of the constituency groups, and together they bring recommendations for policy to the board, to the president, and so it comes, and so maybe some of the issues with the smoking policy, because it's coming just from student government, maybe if it had come from the college assembly, that together that we would work with it as a whole, and when it comes to the board, it's coming from everyone, not just from a specific group. And I think, like I said, right now, all the groups are very strong, and they have their own programs and their own projects and their own goals, but I think if they would work to maybe come together, not for everything, but just for certain things, to come together to provide policy recommendations or program recommendations to the board and to the president.
Thank you, and same question.
So, to me, the role of the board members is very clear. You have two primary roles and responsibilities: hire and fire the president, and the other role that you have is to ensure that policies are in place and that they are being followed. The other portions is really up to the administration, to the president. So one of the things that we do as board is to, when we hired the president, was to give him a directive that he was going to be meeting with the different constituency groups in the college, and he has carried that out. He meets with associations, he meets with groups that, whether it's because one of the board members is asking for the meeting or they are asking for the meeting. And then the other thing is that when we hear about issues and concerns at the board, then again, he is given that directive to go ahead and follow up with that. You know, some of the issues are a little bit more controversial, like the travel issues that were coming up in the recent past. And, you know, it takes a little bit longer to get those resolved, but we continue monitoring that so that he continues meeting, or his staff continues until it gets resolved. The other thing is that when we hear concerns, you know, from any association, organization, or employee, we address them to him directly. If it has to do with, employees that are feeling that their concerns are not being heard, then we report those to him, and it is he and his administration that needs to place those things at the forefront and address them with the people that are being impacted. So again, it's working through the president that you get those things done. If people feel that he's not meeting with them, I know that some of you in the audience had called me and said, this is going on, and we haven't had a resolution, so we stay on the president until we get them addressed or resolved. But that is the vehicle that we can use. I also have made it very clear that my telephone number is available, my personal number, my work number, to anyone. If you have issues or concerns that are not being resolved, please, I will take a phone call, and then I will report them to the president. So that's the role that I propose to continue following when it comes to making sure that we address issues and that we bring constituents together for the betterment of the college, because everybody contributes to ideas and contributes with suggestions or even with concerns that we need to address. And if things don't move forward, then we take it up with the president.
Thank you. And at this point, I would like to open it up to some questions from the audience. So if you have a question, just raise your hand, and one of our friendly people from SGA will walk on by. Okay.
Hi. Hi, Linda, Carmen. My question to Linda. I've worked here quite a few years. My name's Emma Hernandez, 40 years as a matter of fact. And we've always been a culture, yes, of college-going community. As an officer of some of the associations in the past, we had to address issues with you about staff development that we were concerned that you were trying to cut the hours that our employees were getting paid for that. As a board member, how will you make sure that issues of those are addressed and you continue to support employees to continue their higher education?
Okay, so I'm not sure.
What procedures would you put in place?
I know what you're asking, but
policies?
I'm not sure
Right.
what situation you're talking about. But just
The
to let
staff
you know,
scholarship,
the staff scholarship,
right. Remember we worked on that one?
the staff scholarship, and wanting it to expand outside of.
No, we were working and you were trying to cut it, bottom line.
I was trying to cut it. I didn't have authority to do that. That was on finance.
No.
That's
Yeah, it
ju-
was
that's just
a
a
combination.
So to talk to you about staff development, though, when I first got here, I actually was the first time that I implemented staff training for our division. We had never done anything as a division for training. I actually was the one that suggested to the president that we could have a professional development day for staff. Because when I got here, it was just for faculty, and it was held on the day that was late registration, and so our staff couldn't participate. So that's when we came about as having a separate day that offices could help. And so I'm not sure on I know that the staff scholarship, one of the things that we did work on was trying to make sure that people that actually were dependents of employees were getting the funding, because as the funding remained the same and tuition went up, we wanted to make sure that it was used accordingly. But again, I did not, as vice president, have the authority to reduce the fund itself. And so the only thing, like I said, I did do was try and help put a procedure in place to make sure that the right people were using the money. Oh, that's me.
Do you have any response to that, Dr. Graham?
I am not aware of the problem because, again, I didn't work for the college. The only thing I can tell you is we're in the business of education, so if there's anything we can do to facilitate educating our staff, by all means, I'm all for it. whether the person is a clerical employee or somebody that's accessing higher education. Some of you may know I was instrumental in bringing to the college the program through working closely with Dr. Natalicio and her staff. We have a doctoral program available for employees here, and we have a master's degree program also that I initiated directly with Dr. Natalicio, the big difference being that this was going to be on site, and because it was going to be on site, it was going to be focused on something that would benefit the community, the college, because we read a lot about what things are happening in El Paso, but we don't have enough people doing the research on what we are doing that's good for our community. So now we have that program available here, and we have it available at the Socorro School District. There are some people participating from EPCC in both the doctoral program and the master's program, and there are some people participating in SISD. But the dissertations are going to have research that is something going on in our community, in our college, or in our school districts, because we are doing great things in El Paso, but we're not documenting it. We're not telling our story on the research. So I'm very proud of that program, and I am all in support of continuing the education for employees.
All right, thank you. Any other question out there? Anything anybody wants to toss out? All right.
Good afternoon. I got a quick question for both board members, and this is particular to the Valle Verde campus right here. If you go into the other building adjacent to the back where the gym is, the elevator in there, for instance, is way too small for a large group or people with disabilities. And I noticed this a lot around this campus, that there's a couple areas that are hard to access, or in the morning doors don't get unlocked, or the automatic doesn't get turned on. How are you guys planning to address that if you get elected?
I know that that was an issue when I was here, and before I left, I was under the impression we had a plan to slowly start, because elevators are very expensive. It wasn't just the elevators, it was the restrooms, because for restrooms to be accessible also to people in wheelchairs was difficult in this campus. And so I would just, as a board member, just try and go back to see where that plan stands, because from, again, my understanding was there was a plan to slowly get those issues addressed. But it's like I said, I know that it takes time, and there's, they start with one building, go to the next, so I would just kind of follow up to see where they are on that.
I just need clarity, sir. Are you talking about the elevator that's here or the one? Okay. Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. I know that on the plan that we have to upgrade the facilities, I will pledge to you that I will look closely to see what we're doing in that, because I can't guarantee you right now that it's being taken care of, but I'll certainly follow up on that. That people with disabilities are very important to me. I started Project Hire here in EPCC, and I'm very proud of it, because it's, even though it's a different type of disability, it's intellectual disabilities, but at least that program is up and running. But I will certainly look into that and see what we can do to remedy that situation. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank you. Any other question out there? All right, another question up here.
So I will answer this because this is a nonpartisan election, has absolutely nothing to do with how effective I am on the board. I made no secret about it the other day, and I'll make no secret about it again today. I will always vote for a judge that and that is going to preserve life, because I am anti-abortion. I don't believe in killing children. If anybody believes that, it's on you. I know that it got distorted from the statement I made the other day. Again, that has absolutely nothing to do with my ability to lead and be on the Board of Trustees. I will be happy to share my voting record with you. I have 58 votes back to back for Democrats, and I have 2 that are not, because I will vote my values and not the values of the party. And I make no secret of that, publicly or privately.
It is, yeah, she needs a microphone over here. It is a nonpartisan election, and so, but I am proud to say I am a Democrat, and the reason I vote that way is because that party tends to have the same beliefs that I do, and the decisions that have been made usually have benefited the education that I've received, and so that is mostly the reasons that I vote the way I vote.
Okay, thank you. And we do have another question, I believe, up here, up front.
So clearly what I understand with this election is that there is a clear difference between the both candidates. One candidate has been here working the grind, helping, supporting students, faculty, staff. The other person has been serving at a higher level at the board. So Linda, this question is for you. If you are elected as a new board member, what are going to be your initiatives to bring to the board? What is your new and fresh perspective of what will help this board be more productive for the benefit of the college?
You have an hour? No. I think with any organization, bringing fresh eyes to look at what things, and so when I'm talking organization, I'm saying board, not the college itself, but to bring fresh eyes to the organization, but eyes that bring experience and knowledge in higher education. So I think that is what I would bring. And it, change-wise and things, I think that one of the things that I would do as a board member, first off, is, every board member is given an orientation by the vice presidents of their areas. But I think that what we should do also is that each board member should go visit each campus and understand each campus. That's one thing I learned when I got here. Each campus we are EPCC, but each campus is very unique. The students are unique, the programs are unique, and I think that when we sit at the table and we make broad decisions for the whole district without really understanding how it's going to impact a smaller campus like Northwest or Mission. So I think being a board member that is a little bit more involved, and again, I have the time as a retiree. The other thing that I'd like to be is a little bit more vocal in the legislative area. And so I have experience testifying in front of the legislature. I have no issues, but I think that, and I've been kind of reading on some of the trustee responsibilities and those things, and I think that as a trustee and as a community member, that we need to be a little bit more involved at a higher level and reaching out to our state and our federal legislators to say, look, these are the things that are affecting me as a community member, but me as a board member, and how it's going to affect my college. So I think those would be the differences, I think, that I hope that I would be able to bring. I'm real careful about saying I'm going to bring new initiatives, because I really believe that before we bring any new initiative, we've got to make sure that we've got the funding, that we put things, that we're not straining staff, that we don't say, this is a great idea and just throw it out there and put it out on the staff. I think that I want to learn and see what's already out there and what we can support. Again, to me, technology and safety are two things that we as a board really need to look at strongly.
Thank you. Thank you. Response? Yes.
So my vision on the board goes beyond just the community. I happen to serve as a governor appointee on the Texas Workforce Board, and I've been on that for 12, 13 years or so. And so that is the TWIC, Texas Workforce Investment Council, that puts together the strategic plan for Texas. And in that plan, we have the strategic plan that drives where we are going as a state. I happen to be the one of the ones that represents education. So I interact at that level. I also recruited these young people from the student government to come and be part of the Senator's Advisory Committee on Education, of which I have been a member since he got elected. So we have a direct input to the legislative process with him, and some of the initiatives that we have championed are having some wonderful results. For example, one of them was those students that were not able to pass certain state tests. Now we have an initiative where they've been able to get their diploma through a different process, an alternative education, an alternative diploma process, but it's working well. I'm very active in several initiatives at the legislative level. Again, because I have the vision of where the state is going, I can also use that to guide where our community college is going. Another example is when we started talking about ESL and how the college was teaching those classes by themselves, and I knew that the direction we were going was to go ahead and have them taught in a contextualized setting. That change was a little bit rough for some of the instructors here, but I knew that was the direction we were going. I can tell you another one that I know it's where it's headed is that we need to begin and accelerate the implementation of internships, both the paid and unpaid, because again, that's the direction the state is going. The career and technical education was another one that I was very involved with. In the past, many years ago, we used to call it vocational education. And yes, as Linda mentioned, that we are going to need students that don't necessarily have to have a 4-year degree, but that should be their choice, not ours. And way back when we were in high school, we were being told, you're going to a vocational, and you can go to college, but you go to vocational. That's not the case now, because we made a big change on that board, so it's not called vocational education, it's called career and technical education, but it is, again, to enable students to get those opportunities, and now we're gonna push to make some of those dual credit, because they are, rightfully so, getting paid more than people with college degree in some instances. But again, that should be the choice of the person, if they want a 4-year degree or they just want an associate's that's gonna pay a lot of money. So they should not be tracked into that. So again, my point being that having that kind of involvement at the state level enables us to have better vision on where we're going with the college.
Thank you, thank you. All right. As we are reaching time, we can get towards the closing statements, and we will begin with Dr. Olivas Graham.
Well, first of all, thank you all for hosting this gathering, and I hope that we have answered some of your concerns or questions, and I welcome the opportunity to speak with you one-on-one. Again, if you want my telephone number, I'd be happy to give it to you. I have made myself very accessible to constituents, and I will continue to do that. I am by far the best candidate for this position because I not only have the experience on the board, but I have a high level of education, and we are in the business of education here. I also am very, very tightly connected to the young people that are coming out of high school, and I know what it is that we need to do to get those students to go to college and to be successful in college. So I hope I can count on your vote. Thank you.
Ms. Gonzalez-Hensman.
Again, thank you to SGA for having us here and for all of you that came out this afternoon. Again, my experience, 43 years, I think I would bring great expertise that could be used, could be an asset to the board. I've always been involved at all levels, and so for me, this gives me an opportunity not only to serve, but to use what I've learned, what I've experienced as a student and as an employee of the college to benefit the future. As we celebrate the first 50 years, I want to be part of the next vision, the next 50 years, and bring what's new, what's better, what's greater for us and for El Paso. And so, again, it gives me, it's like I told someone, it's hard to leave what you really love, and I really loved what I was doing. And so this gives me a chance to be able to use that. I think I am the best candidate. I would be the first board member that has actually worked at a college or university, and I think that would be current board member, because I know there was somebody last. A current board member that's actually worked at a college or university. And so I think that that experience is what makes me a better. I've been acknowledged for my leadership. I have received leadership awards at the national level. I was the first Hispanic female to be inducted into the Hall of Fame for the Texas Association of Financial Aid Administrators. And so I want to use those skills and experience to serve you.
Thank you, and thank you to the candidates. And thank you for SGA for hosting. And as a reminder, early voting begins next week. And thank you for coming. Have a good evening.